Wah, wah, wah! Hello guys, how are we doing? So, my name is George, aka the Big G, and welcome to my channel. So I've been living at home for the last few weeks. When I say home, I mean my family home, which is out in the countryside. And so I've been feeling, I've been feeling a little bit isolated, a little bit melancholy. And because of this, I decided, well, actually, this idea came to me in one of my meditations that I was going to basically journal after every single meditation for a week and then try and sort of collate all of the common themes of my journaling, talk to you guys about them in a video, just to try and sort of digest them, work through these things, and also stay accountable. I think it's important to stay accountable because at the end of the day, this channel isn't necessarily about meditations per se, it's also about growth and healing through meditation. And that's why I think staying accountable is so important. Also, I thought that it might be a useful exercise for you guys because I think this is actually a quote that I came up with, and I also bought a whiteboard this week, so I wrote it on a whiteboard because what the else would I do with my whiteboard? So here we are. So as you can see, it says, wisdom is in the eye/heart of the beholder. Now, obviously, I've ripped off Shakespeare here, and it's potentially the case that this is already a quote. However, I've never heard it before, so I'm going to claim this quote. So the Big G in 2022 wrote this quote. And so what does it mean? Wisdom is in the eye/heart of the beholder. What I mean by this is, have you ever read a book or a passage or whatever it may be, and obviously the concept or idea that's being put across to you, maybe you don't fully understand, but then the next month, the next year, or however long later, you've read that same idea in a different book or a different passage, and in this instance it's made perfect sense to you. And that's because obviously the author that wrote the second passage or the second book, he articulated it in a way that made far more sense to you. You were able to resonate with it far better, maybe just because this particular author comes from a similar background to you, or just because of the way they articulate themselves is similar to how you would potentially articulate yourself. So that's what I mean by wisdom is in the eye/heart of the beholder. Obviously, there's tons of stuff on YouTube of people such as me talking about their mental health and their feelings and that sort of thing. However, if I can reach just one person and I can resonate with just one person and help just one person on their growth journey, then I think it's worthwhile. I'm also going to take this stupid hat off because this wasn't planned. I found it on the way to pick up my whiteboard, and yeah, I think it looks faintly ridiculous, but I also think it maybe looks pretty good, and I'm slightly worried that I'm going to get addicted to wearing hats such as these. Okay, so let's get on with the video. So the first common theme that kept cropping up for me in my meditations and my journaling was this feeling of inadequacy. It was this feeling of I'm still not doing enough to progress my life. The main reason this came through is because I drank alcohol on the weekend. Well, actually, I drank quite a lot on Saturday, and it always just leaves me feeling a certain way, lethargic, depressed, just a little bit slow, and then also not as motivated when it comes to Monday and sometimes even Tuesday as well. And I feel as though I really need to stamp this out because it's just not serving me in any way, shape or form. I don't particularly enjoy the evenings when I am drunk. They're fun for a certain period of time, and ultimately they just lower my mood. And even in the moment, it's not something that I get excited about anymore. So I think the reason I keep going back to it has to be some sort of self-destructive tendency when it comes to alcohol. Having said that, it's also obviously a social thing. Living in the UK, it's not difficult, but it's somewhat of a task to go and hang out with friends and not drink alcohol, just because that's obviously very, very heavily ingrained into our culture. And so, yeah, I've got to find a way, I think, to take a step back from alcohol and just I'm not going to put myself on a complete alcohol ban because I think that's completely unrealistic. However, having said that, I do want to go for, at least I'm going to do dry July. So I'd missed the boat and drank I think on the 1st or the 2nd, whatever day it was, but I'm going to do from now on dry July. So dry lie, I think it's called. And yeah, just see how that goes for me, because I'm done with feeling both physically and mentally hungover. That's the first thing that came up in my meditations, in that I want to be better, I want to do better, and alcohol has been the main inhibitant for me reaching that higher level. So the second common thing that kept coming up, and the second sort of vice that I have in my life at the moment, is sex. So at the moment I'm doing no fap, so I don't necessarily mean sex. More so I mean moving away from the pleasures of women and just sort of Instagram models and all this that you see on the internet and porn and all of this stuff. I'm slowly unfollowing all the Instagram models. I've given up porn. I'm attempting to go no fap. I think it's been, at the moment it's been 6 days So originally, when I gave this up, this actually was at the start of the month. So this wasn't to do with this particular journaling task. Start of last month, sorry. And I did 16 days, I believe, and then I relapsed. Again, not a problem. I think it's so important to, when you do relapse, when you are doing a spiritual task such as this. Whereas in the past, if I had given up on this particular endeavor, I would have said to myself, oh, you're a failure, give up, like this is a dead task now, you've already done it once, you've already gone upstairs and be sploofed into a little piece of tissue paper. There's no point in returning to the start of this journey. But that's absolutely wrong. Obviously I haven't failed until I've given up. I think there's no problem with relapsing once or twice. It's a journey. This isn't a linear process. Moving towards those superpowers, the absolute superpowers that are reached from NoFap. I'm not going to give up because I failed once or twice. Failure is all part of the journey. That's where I'm at with NoFap. I think it's very important to take a step back and realize that a year ago, 6 months ago, however long ago, there is no way in hell that I would have tried NoFap. I was an absolute fapaholic. And just recognizing that I've come so far already is so powerful and so important for motivation, and also just happiness and peace and clarity, and realizing that I'm on the right path. The final thing I wanted to talk about, which has come up a lot in the last, especially in the last couple of weeks, obviously I only started journaling about it in the last week, is this feeling of loneliness, this feeling of isolation. Now I am at home, in my family home, in the countryside, obviously not surrounded by people right now, which has been really nice to sort of hit the reset button. Yeah, it has also meant that I'm feeling a little lonely. I'm feeling a little isolated. There's obviously a sort of a very real possibility that the reason I'm feeling so isolated or so lonely also comes back to the fact that I'm doing NoFap. Like, I'm not an idiot. I know that the male biology, the male brain chemistry or whatever, has some level of need, some level of human desire for intimacy. That's obviously primarily emotional, but I think a lot of men would often be able to sort of ameliorate this emotional desire for intimacy through a sexual release, through fapping, essentially. So I do wonder whether me doing this has caused this a little bit more. Obviously that is always just going to be a temporary fix. I think, however, you can trick your brain into thinking a temporary fix is far better than abstaining. Obviously in the long run that isn't better, and sort of the idea of delayed gratification is going to support this notion. However, yeah, that's just something else that I've been struggling to contend with in terms of loneliness and isolation. Having said all that, I'm quite enjoying the loneliness, the isolation. I'm quite enjoying sort of the power in the solitude that I'm finding. I don't feel as though the next time I walk into a big social situation, I'll be any less adept. And it's also just such a underappreciated and useful skill to be able to just be by yourself and just enjoy your own company. I think no one understands you, no one understands me as well as I understand me, as well as you understand you. I think that makes sense. And that's always going to be the way. And obviously, when you do go on a spiritual journey and when you connect with yourself and you meditate daily, that's just going to become more and more exaggerated as sort of time goes on and you understand yourself more. And there's great power in that. No one else needs to understand you. Of course, as humans, we have this innate desire for interaction and love and all this stuff. And of course, I want that. However, the greatest and most genuine power and source of love that you're ever going to experience comes from within. So yeah, guys, those are the main trends that sort of came up in my meditations and my journaling this week. I think the reason I wanted to do this, and I just want to quickly highlight this because this is like very important, is that there is absolute, and obviously the title of the video will come into play here, there is absolute power in spirituality. Spirituality is a cheat code. There's no way in hell that in the past, if I had been trying to go NoFap, if I had been trying to control my diet as well as I am, any of these endeavors that I'm trying to do, they are made so much easier by meditation, by spirituality, by self-awareness. Self-awareness is the key one here. It's being able to do these things and recognize that it's not a linear process. So what if I fapped the other day? So what if I ate a pizza last night? So what if I did all these things? It doesn't matter. All that matters is the way you treat yourself in response to that, and then you return to doing what you want to do. This journey we're on is not linear in any way, shape or form. And if you see it as linear, if you see any small failures as the end of the endeavor, then you will ultimately fail. But if you don't, if you take your time to meditate, to be self-aware, to appreciate how far you have come, where you're going, trust in yourself, trust in the journey, then you will absolutely get there. And I will endeavor to do this every month, whenever I feel as though it's time to check in again with myself. If you have enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, please do add a comment below. Tell me sort of things that you guys are struggling with this month, or tell me the sort of things that you guys are doing great with this month as well, because it's also important to keep yourself empowered, to keep yourself motivated. If you've enjoyed this, hit that like button, guys. Hit that subscription button as well for more updates. Got some hair transplant updates coming very soon. We have, I'm not sure if you can see it. I'll give you a little update in a few weeks' time. Actually, probably next week. I'm also moving into a new house next week, so I'm going to be able to set up a bit of a nicer sort of studio where I can do my videos. Obviously, this area is very nice, but I'm going to be going back to London soon, and the room is less nice. Anyway, blah blah blah. Hit that like button, hit that subscription button, hit that bell notification so you're not missing any updates. And yeah, guys, namaste.